Subscriber identity modules, commonly known as SIM cards, are small, unassuming chips that play a crucial role in our mobile lives. They're the gatekeepers of our connection to cellular networks, storing unique identifiers and authentication keys that link our devices to our mobile subscriptions. SIM card cloning, at its core, is the process of creating an unauthorized duplicate of a legitimate SIM card. This involves copying the essential data from an original SIM onto a blank or programmable card. Once a clone is created, it can be used in another mobile device, effectively giving an attacker a mirror image of the victim's mobile identity. This poses a substantial threat in our increasingly connected world, where mobile devices are central to communication and identity verification, making it a topic of serious concern for personal and digital security. The dangers associated with SIM card cloning are multifaceted and can have devastating consequences for unsuspecting victims. A cloned SIM card allows an attacker to make and receive calls, send and receive text messages, and access mobile data services as if they were the legitimate subscriber. This means they can intercept sensitive communications, including personal conversations and, critically, one-time passwords or verification codes sent via SMS for two-factor authentication. Such access can be a golden key for cybercriminals, enabling them to bypass security measures on various online accounts, from social media and email to banking and cryptocurrency wallets, leading to significant financial loss and identity theft. The ease with which essential services can be compromised underscores the gravity of this threat. Beyond direct financial theft, the unauthorized access granted by a cloned SIM can lead to profound breaches of privacy and sophisticated identity fraud. Attackers can monitor a victim's communications, gather personal information, and even impersonate the victim to deceive their contacts or business associates. This can result in reputational damage, strained personal relationships, and complex legal issues for the individual whose identity has been compromised. The psychological impact of such an invasion of privacy can also be considerable, leaving victims feeling vulnerable and exposed. The ability for a malicious actor to essentially become you in the digital realm highlights the critical need for robust security awareness and protective measures against this pervasive threat. It is crucial to understand that unauthorized SIM card cloning is an illegal activity in virtually all jurisdictions across the globe. Law enforcement agencies and legislative bodies recognize this practice as a serious criminal offense, often categorized under fraud, identity theft, and violations of telecommunications and privacy laws. Perpetrators caught engaging in or facilitating SIM cloning face severe legal repercussions, which can include substantial fines, imprisonment, and a lasting criminal record. The clandestine nature of these operations makes them challenging to track, but the legal framework unequivocally condemns such actions. This legal stance emphasizes the societal recognition of the importance of protecting mobile identity and the severe consequences awaiting those who attempt to exploit it for malicious purposes. One of the more direct methods employed by attackers to clone a SIM card involves the use of specialized hardware known as SIM card readers and writers. This technique, while requiring physical access to the victim's SIM card, is highly effective if the attacker can obtain the card, even for a brief period. The process begins with the attacker removing the legitimate SIM card from the victim's device. This stolen SIM is then inserted into a smart card reader connected to a computer. Using specific software, the attacker attempts to extract the critical pieces of data stored on the SIM card, primarily the international mobile subscriber identity and the unique authentication key, known as the KI. The IMSI is a unique number associated with all cellular network users, which identifies the subscriber. The key, however, is the secret key used to authenticate the SIM card with the mobile network. Successfully extracting both the IMSI and the KI is the primary goal of this type of attack. Older SIM cards, particularly those using weaker encryption algorithms like COMP128v1, are more vulnerable to having their key extracted. Once these two crucial pieces of information are obtained from the original SIM, the attacker can then use a SIM card writer, also known as a SIM cloner or programmer, to imprint this data onto a blank or a programmable SIM card, effectively creating a functional duplicate. The newly created cloned SIM card can then be inserted into any compatible mobile device. The mobile network, upon detecting the cloned SIM, will recognize it as the legitimate subscriber's card because it possesses the correct IMSI and can correctly respond to authentication challenges using the copied key. This allows the attacker to hijack the victim's mobile service. they can make calls, send messages, and use data, all of which will be billed to the original account holder. More alarmingly, they can intercept any incoming calls or SMS messages, including those critical OTPs used for security verification, opening the door to widespread account compromise and financial fraud. Preventing physical SIM card reader-writer attacks largely depends on safeguarding the physical SIM card itself. Users should be wary of situations where their phone might be left unattended or handled by untrusted individuals, such as repair shops with questionable reputations or during brief periods of confiscation. If a phone is lost or stolen, reporting it immediately to the mobile carrier is crucial to deactivate the SIM card and prevent its unauthorized use or duplication. While modern SIM cards often feature more robust encryption, making KI extraction more difficult, the risk remains, particularly if an attacker has sufficient time and resources, or if older, more vulnerable SIM cards are still in circulation, emphasizing the need for constant vigilance. Social engineering and phishing represent a significant pathway for attackers to obtain the necessary information to facilitate SIM cloning or, more commonly, SIM swapping. These methods prey on human psychology rather than technical vulnerabilities in the SIM card itself. Attackers craft deceptive scenarios to trick unsuspecting individuals into divulging sensitive personal information, account credentials, or even one-time passwords. Phishing attacks, for instance, often arrive in the form of emails, text messages, or voice calls that appear to originate from legitimate sources such as banks, service providers, or even government agencies. These communications create a sense of urgency or fear to prompt immediate action from the victim. The information gathered through these deceptive tactics can be incredibly valuable to a fraudster. For example, an attacker might send a phishing email claiming there's a security issue with the victim's mobile account, directing them to a fake login page that harvests their username and password for their mobile carrier's online portal. With these credentials, the attacker might be able to access account details, initiate a SIM swap, or gather further personal information to impersonate the victim more convincingly when contacting the carrier directly. Scammers are increasingly sophisticated, often using details gleaned from previous data breaches to make their phishing attempts more personalized and believable, thereby increasing their chances of success. Another common tactic involves tricking victims into revealing OTPs. An attacker, having already obtained some basic information, might call the victim posing as a customer service representative from their mobile operator. They might claim to be performing a security check or offering a service upgrade, and then ask the victim to read back an OTP that was just sent to their phone. Unbeknownst to the victim, this OTP might be the one required to authorize a SIM swap request initiated by the attacker. Handing over this code effectively gives the attacker the keys to their mobile identity, allowing them to take control of the phone number and all associated communications. Educating users about these deceptive practices is a critical line of defense. Individuals should always be highly suspicious of unsolicited requests for personal information, login credentials, or OTPs, regardless of how legitimate the source may appear. It is vital to independently verify the authenticity of any such communication by contacting the purported organization through official channels, not by using contact details provided in the suspicious message. Avoiding clicks on links in unsolicited emails or texts and never sharing OTPs are fundamental security habits. Awareness of these manipulation techniques can significantly reduce one's vulnerability to falling victim to these pervasive and often financially devastating scams. Beyond targeting individuals directly or their physical SIM cards, sophisticated attackers can exploit vulnerabilities within the global telecommunications infrastructure itself, specifically through Signaling System Number 7, or SS7. SS7 is a set of international telecommunication protocols used by most phone networks worldwide to route calls, manage SMS messages, enable mobile roaming, and support other essential services. While integral to global communication, SS7 was designed decades ago with an assumption of trust between network operators, lacking robust built-in security mechanisms to defend against malicious actors who gain access to the system, making it an attractive target for interception. Attackers who manage to gain access to the SS7 network, either by compromising a vulnerable telecom operator or by purchasing access from less scrupulous providers, can launch a variety of attacks. One of the most concerning capabilities is the ability to intercept voice calls and SMS messages in real time. By manipulating SS7 commands, an attacker can reroute a victim's calls and texts to a device under their control, all without the victim's knowledge. This means that any information transmitted via these channels, including sensitive conversations, personal data, and, crucially, SMS-based two-factor authentication codes, can be captured by the attacker, effectively bypassing this common security layer. The implications of SS7 exploitation are far-reaching. Once an attacker can reliably intercept a victim's SMS messages, they can compromise online accounts that rely on SMS for password recovery or as a second factor of authentication. This includes email accounts, social media profiles, and most lucratively, financial accounts and cryptocurrency wallets. The ability to intercept these codes means that even if a victim has strong, unique passwords, their accounts can still be breached. The attack happens at the network level, making it incredibly difficult for the end user to detect or prevent, as their device and SIM card may appear to be functioning normally. While SS7 vulnerabilities are well documented, and efforts are underway globally to improve network security and transition to newer, more secure protocols like Diameter, the widespread nature of SS7 means it will likely remain a point of weakness for some time. For individual users, there is little direct action they can take to prevent SS7 attacks, as the responsibility lies primarily with telecommunication providers to secure their networks. However, awareness of this threat underscores the importance of moving away from SMS-based two-factor authentication where possible, opting instead for stronger methods like authenticator apps or hardware security keys, which are not susceptible to SS7 interception tactics and offer a higher degree of protection. Section 5. Hidden Dangers, Malware and Malicious Mobile Applications. The proliferation of smartphones has unfortunately created a fertile ground for malware and fake mobile applications designed to compromise user security, including the theft of SIM card-related data. Attackers distribute these malicious programs through various channels, such as unofficial app stores, phishing links disguised as legitimate app downloads, or even by injecting malware into seemingly harmless applications available on official platforms. Once installed on a victim's device, this spyware or malicious software can operate covertly, performing a range of nefarious activities without the user's immediate knowledge, turning the trusted device into a tool for espionage against its owner. This type of malware can be engineered to specifically target and exfiltrate data crucial for SIM cloning or account takeover. For instance, some malicious apps might request extensive permissions upon installation, tricking the user into granting access to their SMS messages, contact lists, call logs, and even device identifiers. With access to SMS messages, the malware can intercept OTPs directly from the device, forwarding them to the attacker. Other forms of malware might be capable of extracting SIM card information like the ICCID or IMSI, which, while not enough to clone a SIM without the KEI, can be valuable pieces of information for social engineering attacks aimed at SIM swapping. The sophistication of mobile malware continues to evolve, with some variants capable of overlaying fake login screens on top of legitimate banking or social media apps. When the user attempts to log in, their credentials are captured and sent to the attacker. This information can then be used to access accounts or in conjunction with other stolen data to persuade a mobile carrier to perform a SIM swap. The stealthy nature of these applications means they can reside on a device for extended periods, continuously siphoning data and monitoring user activity before any suspicious behavior is noticed by the victim, making early detection a significant challenge. Protecting against malware and fake mobile apps requires a proactive and cautious approach to mobile device usage. Users should exclusively download applications from official app stores like Google Play or Apple's App Store, and even then, remain vigilant by scrutinizing app permissions and reading user reviews before installation. Avoiding clicks on suspicious links in emails or messages, keeping the device's operating system and applications updated with the latest security patches, and employing a reputable mobile security application can significantly reduce the risk of infection. Regular monitoring of phone behavior and data usage can also help identify potential compromises before extensive damage occurs. Section 6. Cracking the code and tricking the system, brute force, and SIM swapping. While modern SIM cards employ robust encryption, older generations of SIMs, particularly those relying on the COMP128v1 algorithm for authentication, are susceptible to cryptographic attacks. Brute force attacks in this context involve an attacker systematically trying all possible keys or using cryptanalysis techniques to deduce the secret authentication key, KI, stored on the SIM. If the attacker has physical possession of an older SIM card, they can connect it to a card reader and run specialized software that repeatedly queries the card. Over time, by analyzing the card's responses, the software can eventually crack the encryption and extract the key, enabling the creation of a functional clone. This method, though technically demanding and time-consuming, highlights a vulnerability inherent in outdated technology. As cryptographic standards evolve, older algorithms become weaker against increasing computational power and more sophisticated analytical techniques. While mobile operators have largely transitioned to stronger algorithms like COMP128v2, COMP128v3 or millinage for newer SIM cards, a significant number of older SIMs may still be in circulation globally. Users with such cards are at a higher risk if an attacker manages to gain temporary physical access to their SIM, making the update or replacement of very old SIM cards a prudent, albeit often overlooked, security measure for individuals. Separate from direct cloning, SIM swapping has emerged as a far more prevalent and accessible threat. This technique doesn't involve copying the SIM's data, but rather deceiving or colluding with mobile carrier employees to transfer the victim's phone number to a SIM card controlled by the attacker. The fraudster typically gathers personal information about the victim through phishing, data breaches, or open-source intelligence. Armed with details like the victim's full name, address, date of birth, and possibly answers to security questions, the attacker contacts the mobile provider, impersonates the victim, and requests that the phone number be ported to a new SIM card they possess. Once the SIM swap is successful, the victim's original SIM card loses network service, often indicated by an SOS-only or no-service message on their phone. Simultaneously, the attacker's SIM card becomes active with the victim's phone number. This immediately gives the attacker control over all incoming calls and SMS messages, including those crucial OTPs for account access and recovery. The relative ease with which determined attackers can execute SIM swaps by exploiting human elements within customer service processes has made this a favored method for high-value targets, such as cryptocurrency holders or individuals with access to significant financial assets, demanding urgent attention from both consumers and carriers. Section 7. Building your defenses, practical steps for enhanced protection. Protecting oneself against the multifaceted threats of SIM cloning and swapping requires a combination of technical safeguards and heightened personal vigilance. One of the most fundamental yet often overlooked security measures is enabling a SIM PIN. This personal identification number is a code that locks your SIM card. It is required each time your phone restarts or when the SIM card is inserted into a new device. If an attacker steals your physical SIM card with the intention of using a reader/writer, a strong, unique SIM PIN can prevent them from accessing the card's data, rendering it useless for immediate cloning attempts without first guessing this additional layer of security. Beyond physical SIM protection, exercising extreme caution with online communications is paramount. Users should cultivate a healthy skepticism towards unsolicited emails, text messages, or phone calls, especially those requesting personal information, login credentials, or urging immediate action through embedded links. It is crucial to avoid clicking on suspicious links or downloading attachments from unknown or unverified sources, as these are common vectors for malware delivery or phishing attacks designed to harvest sensitive data. Verifying the legitimacy of any request by contacting the organization directly through official, independently sourced contact information is always the safest course of action before sharing any details. Implementing robust multi-factor authentication, MFA, across all sensitive online accounts is another critical defense. However, it is important to choose MFA methods wisely. While SMS-based two-factor authentication is better than no second factor, it remains vulnerable to SIM swapping, SS7 attacks, and malware that can intercept text messages. Therefore, users should prioritize stronger MFA options such as authenticator apps like Google Authenticator or Microsoft Authenticator, or physical hardware security keys. These methods generate codes locally on your device or require physical presence, making them significantly harder for remote attackers to compromise, even if they manage to gain control of your phone number. Furthermore, individuals should proactively engage with their mobile carriers to inquire about and enable any available SIM swap protection services. Many providers now offer features like account lock, requiring additional verification steps or a unique passcode before any changes, such as transferring a number to a new SIM, can be authorized. Regularly monitoring your phone service for unexpected loss of signal and reviewing account activity for unauthorized changes can also provide early warnings of a potential compromise. Staying informed about the latest threats and security best practices is an ongoing responsibility for every mobile user in today's digital landscape, ensuring a more resilient defense against determined adversaries. Section 8. The eSIM solution and stark realities real-world attack scenarios. The advent of embedded SIMs or eSIMs offers a promising advancement in mitigating some risks associated with traditional physical SIM card vulnerabilities. Unlike physical SIM cards that can be removed and potentially tampered with, an eSIM is a small chip embedded directly into the device's hardware. The carrier profile, which contains the necessary information to connect to the network, is downloaded and provisioned remotely by the carrier. This design inherently makes physical theft and rudimentary reader/writer cloning attacks much more difficult, as there is no physical card to steal or manipulate. This shift towards integrated technology presents a more secure alternative for mobile users. While eSIMs enhance security against physical attacks, they are not a panacea for all SIM-related fraud. Social engineering tactics aimed at tricking carriers into transferring an eSIM profile to an attacker's device can still occur, though the processes might be more stringent. However, the elimination of the physical SIM card significantly reduces the attack surface for certain cloning techniques. Additionally, eSIMs offer practical benefits, such as making it easier for users to switch between carriers or manage multiple lines on a single device, particularly useful for international travelers. Their reduced physical footprint also contributes to less electronic waste, offering a minor environmental advantage over their plastic predecessors. The real-world consequences of successful SIM cloning and swapping attacks can be devastating, often leading to substantial financial losses and severe personal distress. Cryptocurrency investors have been particularly hard-hit targets. For instance, investor Michael Turpin reportedly lost an astounding $24 million in digital currency after attackers executed a SIM swap, intercepted his two-factor authentication codes, and gained access to his crypto wallets. Such high-profile cases underscore the immense financial incentives for criminals and the critical vulnerabilities that can be exploited when phone numbers are tied to valuable assets, showcasing the urgent need for stronger authentication methods beyond SMS. Another poignant example is the case of Jeff Drobman from Los Angeles, who experienced a SIM swap attack that led to significant unauthorized financial activity. His phone suddenly lost service, displaying only SOS. Soon after, he received fraud alerts from his bank about password changes and unauthorized access. The attackers managed to withdraw $21,000 from his account through multiple transactions. Although his bank eventually restored the funds after a month-long investigation, the incident caused immense stress and inconvenience, forcing him to set up entirely new banking credentials. These real-life incidents serve as stark reminders of the tangible impact of these digital crimes on ordinary individuals and high-net-worth targets alike. Section 9. The rule of law and the imperative of ongoing vigilance. It cannot be overstated that engaging in unauthorized SIM card cloning or SIM swapping is a serious criminal act with significant legal ramifications. These activities fall under various statutes related to fraud, identity theft, unauthorized access to computer systems, and violations of telecommunications privacy laws. Law enforcement agencies globally are increasingly aware of these threats and actively pursue individuals and groups involved in such illicit operations. The penalties for those convicted can be severe, often including hefty fines, lengthy prison sentences, and the long-term consequences of a criminal record, which can impact future employment and personal freedoms. The legal framework is clear. Your mobile identity is protected, and attempts to subvert it are met with punitive action. The fight against SIM-related fraud is an ongoing battle that requires a collaborative effort between individuals, telecommunication providers, and regulatory bodies. Carriers have a responsibility to implement more robust authentication procedures for account changes and SIM activations, incorporating stricter identity verification processes that are harder for social engineers to bypass. This includes training customer service representatives to recognize and thwart fraudulent requests. Furthermore, continued investment in network security to address vulnerabilities like those in SS7, and to promote the adoption of more secure technologies such as eSIMs is essential for strengthening the overall ecosystem against these pervasive threats. For individuals, the cornerstone of protection lies in continuous vigilance and education. Understanding the techniques used by attackers, such as phishing, malware, and social engineering, is the first step towards recognizing and avoiding potential traps. Adopting strong security hygiene, including the use of unique SIM pins, prioritizing app-based or hardware MFA over SMS-based codes, being cautious about sharing personal information, and regularly monitoring accounts for suspicious activity, forms a critical, multi-layered defense. Awareness campaigns and accessible educational resources play a vital role in empowering users to safeguard their digital identities effectively in an ever-evolving threat landscape. Ultimately, while technology evolves and new security measures are introduced, the human element often remains the most vulnerable link and, conversely, the strongest line of defense. Staying informed about emerging threats, understanding the legal boundaries that protect digital identities, and consistently applying security best practices are paramount. The digital world offers immense convenience and connectivity, but it also demands a heightened sense of responsibility from all its participants. By remaining alert and proactive, individuals can significantly reduce their risk of becoming victims of SIM cloning and other forms of mobile fraud, contributing to a safer digital environment for everyone involved.